Hello, good afternoon. This is Olga Jevtich. I'm Miss Virginia Senior America 2003. This is Fashion Notes. As you can see, we are surrounded by beautiful creation by my guest, and I feel like in the candy store with all these beautiful things we are going to talk about today. First of all, I would like to welcome my guest. Her name is Brecken Elisabeth Geiman. And I would like to thank her very much for coming today and showing us, and you are going to have a big treat. Beside that, I have a model in the house, and I have to tell you a secret. The model is her mom. I had a difficult time to distinguish between them, who is mom, who is designer. And the model is going to modeling and the daughter's beautiful jewelry. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much, Brecken, for coming today. And I met Brecken at, it was in, I think, McLean craft show.
Yes.
And when I saw her jewelry, I was so fascinated. I said, well, I have to see everything else. I have to have a special visit to see her booth again and to admire her things. And I had in my mind, this lady is just perfect for our show. So I stopped and talked to her, and I told her how much I enjoy seeing her beautiful things. And I invited her, and she accepted the invitation. I would like to thank her very much for coming today and showing us. I have so many questions to ask her. I don't know where to start from. But first of all, as you can see, she's so talented, and this day she started working, playing, when she was a very little girl, like 2-3 years old, making things. So she's actually born artist in her own way, and her mom is artist in a different way. And she's going to tell us, how did you first started? Did you make something? Usually ask my guests, they usually make something for themselves, and everybody is admiring, where did you get this? And I said, I made it, and then it was, little it turned out to be a business. Is that how it was?
It did happen that way, as a matter of fact. And first of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. And it was a pleasure to meet you in McLean. Yes, I've always had a love for fashion design, and my mother and my grandmothers always loved fashion and had the most beautiful jewelry, and I was always fascinated by the vintage rhinestone brooches and beautiful pearls and things like that that they would wear, and I just thought it would be fun to create some of my own, wearable jewelry.
What a clever idea.
Yes, absolutely. And so I started dabbling with jewelry about 10 years ago, and I have always loved vintage elements, and so I knew that I wanted to use repurposed and repurposed and recycled elements in my work. And then I proceeded from there into having a fascination with polymer clay, and found that that was a beautiful medium that I could blend a lot of my own color tones with, and so I started experimenting with the polymer clay.
Do you remember what your first piece was when you made it?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. I found this beautiful bracelet that I was inspired by, and the artist had used polymer clay to do a piece based on the artist Frida Kahlo. And Frida Kahlo's work is very colorful with lots of reds and yellows and blues, and the particular clay beads in that piece I thought were so beautiful I thought I wanted to try my own. And so that's what I remember, and I remember creating several bracelets and pendants when I first began working with the clay.
Oh, yes. So you started with the bracelets and then you moved on?
And then I merged into pendants and earrings and statement necklaces like I'm wearing now.
What are you wearing now? They are so magnificent on the black.
Thank you so much.
You just have a plain black dress and such a magnificent piece of jewelry, and you don't need to add anything else. You're very elegant.
Absolutely. And I tell my clients all the time, if you just have a neutral palette that you wear all the time, then you can pop on any one of my jewelry designs to make a wonderful statement. And so this particular piece that I'm wearing incorporates the polymer clay, which are these rectangular elements right here in the metallic silver. They are embedded with Swarovski crystals. Then I've also fused together some vintage pearls because I love using the antique element in this. as well as some of these beautiful gemstones that I've wrapped with the chain, which is again another vintage element here. And this piece actually is very versatile because you can wear it as a short statement necklace, or it can be deconstructed and you can wear it as a long statement necklace.
I see. It depends on the cut of what you are wearing.
Absolutely, yes, because I have a lot of clients that like a piece that can be very versatile, so that in the summer season you might want to wear something longer, or in the spring season or winter you might want to wear a shorter statement piece.
I see. Well, she combined, pieces that she finds at her travels all the time, the different things, and some unusual pieces, and also she creates something with how do you call this a polymer?
Okay, yes, this is a combination. So all of my pieces are mixed media, and basically that means I'm using a combination of elements in each design. So the piece here on the front that is held onto the metal piece, that is the polymer clay, and those colors are all blended through a process called caning, and I create patterns within the cane that then get sliced and formed by hand.
So do you have to dry it, or how do you put it in the kiln, or how do you finish it?
This is finished through just a low temperature baking process.
Oh, you do bake.
And it is rather time intensive because it bakes per thickness and of the clay itself. And so this piece incorporates the polymer clay. The metal piece here that you see in the design is actually one of my etched pieces, and I've been working with metal a lot lately in my designs. I hand draw on the metal, and this particular image that's hand drawn is inspired by vintage doilies because I have a massive doily collection. And so I drew the doily on this, and then it's etched out with acid. And then after that, I hand cut and hand file the piece. And then I'm basically using what's called a cold connection to hold the polymer clay piece onto the other metal piece.
Do you have any special tools that you have to cut this? I'm sure you know.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I have a lot of jewelers' metalsmithing tools, one of which is a jeweler's saw, and it's a tiny little microscopic saw blade that I use to hand cut a lot of my special details into
so
my
it will
designs.
not break, because this is delicate. If you have some, very harsh, instrument, it will break.
Right, exactly.
So it has to be absolutely,
yes,
perfect.
So for the ring, for example,
oh, that ring is magnificent.
Yes,
please show the ring, to the camera. It's so magnificent.
So this ring, of course, I've done the cold connections with the metal smithing, and this is brass. It's hammered brass, and I've cut the detailing. I call these the little clover leaf design. That's cut with the jeweler's saw. And then I bring these prongs up around a genuine Swarovski crystal. And I love the Swarovskis because the sparkle is just really wonderful.
It's absolutely magnificent,
Yes,
and it's shiny like 1,000 carats of diamonds.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
The girl's best friend, as you know.
Yes, absolutely.
And there are some, this piece, the blue one, it's very, very interesting and different. Also like a statement jewelry. What stones did you use to incorporate in that piece? Okay,
this particular piece I've titled it the Tropicana piece because in my travels I love going to tropical locations, and I absolutely love the beach. And this was inspired by my travels to tropical locations. So this piece incorporates the polymer clay and the beads, and this is called a focal pendant. And so I've picked up the beautiful colors of the tropical ocean blues and teals in the clay designs. This also incorporates a beautiful vintage button that I acquired in New York at a wonderful button shop. And this is actually a check glass button, and I just thought
they're very famous
with
the glass, I know.
Absolutely. Then I've got some gorgeous little vintage bird here, some beautiful beads that I acquired during my travels in Prague, and a lot of antique elements in this piece, as well as a beautiful jade butterfly. And then this beautiful piece right here is one of my unique wire wrappings that I do just to create a little bit of added interest into the piece to make it a true statement.
Would you call this like a spring and summer collection?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I love to play with color and texture and carry that through each season.
What colors do you use, for example, for like a fall and winter, something like that?
Something like that would be perfect. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. The blacks and the navies are a great, versatile, classic look for fall and winter, and even into spring for a lot of my clients that are corporate women, but I do market to all age women, all ages.
And also I have to point, all her jewelry they have a little plug with, how do you call it?
Yes, a little sterling tag.
That, you know, it says her name, Brecken. And also what is absolutely fascinating that she makes the clasp. Most of the people, you know, that I had on the show, they buy clasp and incorporate, but it's very rare to find somebody who make actual clasp. And which is, you know, something, you know, very important, because you don't want to make nice jewelry and then you have some sloppy finish, which is not good. And she's making her own. This, what kind of metal you're using?
So I work with an assortment of metal. That happens to be a tarnish-resistant copper, which is wonderful. And then
so that does not tarnish?
It does not tarnish, but I love that color tone because it lends itself to be worn with gold or silver. And I love mixing metals in my designs. I also work with sterling silver as well.
Sterling silver.
Yes,
is it difficult, you know, is it hard, or is it a soft metal when you work with the silver?
It depends on what I'm working with. You know, with the sheet metal, it becomes, it's less pliable. Some of the wire is a little more bendable. It just depends on the thickness of the metal.
So do you have to warm it, you know, to
work with it? I do a lot of, again, what's called cold working. So I do a lot with my hammers and my pliers and bending the metal and hammering it and forging it that way. So at this point, no heat is applied to what I'm working with. It's just all
being designer, it means you have to be a mechanic too.
That's right.
To use all the tools that you are working with, because you know, this is something extra that you have to be knowledgeable. Otherwise, you know, they will not be able.
And a lot of trials. You know, a lot of experimenting and figuring out what works and testing out my product. I love constantly testing things out when I'm wearing them to ensure that things are going to lay properly, or the clasps are going to be perfectly user-friendly for my clients.
If you make mistake, for example, you know, sometimes mistakes make something, you know, beautiful.
Yes.
And then you just, you know, incorporate it, you know, and only you know probably that it's a mistake.
Right.
Because, you know, other people will think it's a part of your design.
Yes, that's correct. Absolutely. Yes, those unexpected mistakes are sometimes the best parts and elements of the design work.
I see.
Yes.
Well, now I think let's see how our model is ready. So she's going to model one of Brecken's, you know, beautiful, beautiful jewelry. And, you know, she's is going to explain what it is. And, you know, she's, you know, wearing, you know.
Yes. So this piece is one of the beautiful royal blue, you know, color palettes that is, again, great for spring and summer. A nice, bold color. And this piece incorporates my polymer clay designs for the three beautiful focal beads at the bottom of the necklace.
I see.
And they are embedded with the Swarovski crystals as well as the silver art foil. We've also got on here another beautiful antique button on the top of the necklace, the round button, another check glass find. And on the other side, opposite of the button, is a beautiful antique brooch that I acquired during one of my treasure hunts at an estate sale.
I see.
Yes, and I just fell in love with that one. It was so delicate, and I thought it would add a nice asymmetrical touch to this particular design.
Yeah, because everything is one of a kind. And
absolutely.
It needs not. Thank you very much. See, she's going to be back with more of her design. But this is what makes even, you know, exciting, because now it's everything. Of course, if you wear her jewelry, you are the only person in the world that will have such an interesting piece. And another thing is, because, you know, it's different, and it's not like, you know, you cannot find it in your neighborhood store, that's for sure, and everybody will notice. And also, you know, you just wear something very simple and put this piece of jewelry, and I'm sure you're going to be noticed.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I do pride myself on one-of-a-kind designs, because I feel like if you're going to have a wearable work of art, it should be something very unique.
But it is absolutely work of art,
ma'am.
Because, you know, you don't want to make 15 pieces, same pieces. And also, I'm sure it's not easy to find the pieces that you incorporated too. When you have all these beads, for example, do you have in mind what you're going to do? Or when you start, you know, working on it, it just, your hands just lead you to make something beautiful?
Both. Sometimes I go with an inspiration in mind. For example, when I was creating this particular Tropicana necklace, I knew I wanted to do something with the tropical feel to it. And then I will go out treasure hunting through, you know, I have boxes and wonderful jewelry boxes and bins full of fantastic items to pull from, or I'll go out on treasure hunts, you know, through antique shops and estate sales to find just the perfect components. And then sometimes I have a beautiful piece that might be sitting, you know, in my jewelry studio that just speaks to me, and the energy of that I want to create something around.
And also, if somebody asks you, for example, custom to do things, you know, you
absolutely.
probably do.
I always do custom orders, whether it's with the necklaces, whether it's with earrings, bracelets, pendants. You name it, I can customize it.
Do people ask more, or it is now, it's irrelevant, you know, to have a same, like a set? You know, I don't think, you know, people, you know, order like exactly the set. It's more like, you know, different, you know, bracelets, different necklaces, you know, the match in some way.
I have some clients that love to have the perfect matching set.
I see.
And I create, you know, in that case, for example, I have this pendant necklace, which is the crystal fringe necklace. And I might have a client that loves the perfect match, so I would recommend a pair of earrings that match it very nicely, that play off the same design. However, I have a lot of clients that like to, you know, have variation with this particular piece, so that's when I would offer another variation of earring to go with this set.
Yes, absolutely.
And the same with the bracelet. So I try to offer a nice broad variety for my clients to select from if they want something that is an ensemble, but they don't want it to necessarily match perfectly.
I see. Well, as you can see, you know, how talented she is. And is our mother ready? We would love to see, you know, as many pieces as possible, because they're all fascinating and beautiful. What she's wearing right now.
So this next piece was...
Oh, this is very statement piece.
This is a wonderful statement piece. This piece, of course, was inspired by the fact that I live in a rural area. I live in a 200-year-old farmhouse, and growing up, my grandparents had a lot of cattle, and so, you know, I was exposed to a lot of beautiful cow skulls, which I find the bones to be very beautiful and very inspiring. And I've traveled to Texas and out west and the Southwest, and I just love the Western styles as well. And that piece was inspired by those elements. And this particular piece is created, the skull itself is created from polymer clay. I have created a mold that I've hand formed, and I've overlaid the polymer clay, which is a sort of a pearlescent tone, over top. And then the horns themselves are created from sterling and copper wire wrapping. And the other accents on this piece are the beautiful genuine chunk of coral that just kind of offsets, you know, the skull nicely, and the beautiful turquoise accent stones as well on the opposite side of the coral. Now, at the top of this necklace is one of my etched designs that also houses a buffalo coin and a beautiful little brass kind of dome shape. That's one of my etched metal creations. And the piece is finished off with copper chain that I have formed by hand. And those are all the findings that I've created by hand. So it does make for just a really great statement piece.
It is. Thank you very much. It is really a statement piece, but all the pieces are very statement. When do you like to work? Mostly in the morning, in the evening, or in the day, or it depends?
You know, it just kind of depends on how my creative juices are flowing and how inspired I am. I'm definitely a morning person, so I love to get up bright and early and start creating right away.
But there's no phone calls.
That's
right. You know, it's very quiet. And,
exactly.
You know, do you have a special? Do you need any special lights? You know, to when you work, or you know,
I love working with natural light because I love, especially it helps with blending the clay tones. I can get a lot of wonderful, you know, colorations from using the natural light. And I also use a lot of the nice you know, the compact fluorescent lights as well too. Just bright lighting if I'm working in the evening, something to be able to shed enough light on my project at hand.
Is it a fluorescent light needs some kind of real light, you know, closer to daylight?
It is, yes ma'am. And I've got some of these nice little, you know, small compact table lamps that I kind of work around, you know, will pull around me to work on my particular surface.
Let me ask you also, it's very important, every time I have jewelry design, I would like to know, how do you store it? I know it's different when you travel, you know, you store probably, you know, different, but how about, you know, just us, you know, ordinary people, they own some jewelry. Is it plastic bag okay or not to store jewelry?
I typically recommend, you know, I offer these beautiful leatherette boxes with the velvet liner, and a lot of my statement necklaces will come, and I recommend to my clients to leave their jewelry in these to protect them. But they can be, you know, they can go, if you have a traditional jewelry box, you know, or a jewelry armoire that you like to keep your pieces in, that's fine as well. Or in between layers of velveteen or organza are great as well too.
You know, personally, I put in drawers with some, you know, I put them in plastic bags, and I was just wondering if this is a good or bad.
You know, it's not going to harm the pieces.
Because you know, it's good not to be touching each other because they are not exactly the same color.
Right.
And I put them on in you know, like in similar blue and greens together, pinkish and, you know, things like that. But still, I'm not sure if it's the right way to keep it.
I like the sheer organza bags if I'm going to be layering pieces together, because you can still see through the bags. However, it does protect, you know, the fragile nature of the crystals, and you know, it protects special components in each piece. So
any way how to clean it also? You know,
yes, that's a very good question. Actually, with the polymer clay, you can clean these pieces with a very light, mild detergent, just with a gentle washcloth or something like that. And with the metal pieces, you can use a polishing cloth, either a microfiber cloth, or there are specialty jewelry polishing cloths that you can get if you want to keep the luster of the metal. And you can use those on the crystals as well too, to keep them shiny.
What about the silver? You know, is it non-tarnishable, or it is?
Silver does tarnish. You know, it depends on, as with most metals, all of the metals that I use, they, you know, when they're exposed to the elements or exposed to your skin, they have the, you know, the capabilities of oxidizing, we call it. And that's totally fine. That's totally normal. That's sort of part of the process and what I intend for my pieces to do. However, it's just, you know, if you're concerned about the tarnish on them, you can use those polishing cloths and they'll shine right back up.
I see. Oh, so I'm learning today a lot how to do, you know, jewelry, and also you have to go to all these, you know, when you see, especially in the fall, a lot of craft show.
Yes.
Craft show to, you know, patronize, to see what all these designers are doing. And admire, you know, I always admire that people do things by hand, you know, not by machine. These days, you know, what, you know, is coming from everything made by machine. And it's, you can tell right away difference that something that is created by the artist, not by machine. Well, let's see our model. Is she going to show us some more things? And we are all going to admire another beautiful piece of the Brecken made it.
Yes, this is another piece, again, inspired by my travels, and also inspired by the holiday El Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead. And so with this particular piece, there's a lot of great, fun, kind of fiesta colorations in this piece. The statement piece at the bottom there, that pendant, is actually a sugar skull, which is a very popular part of the Day of the Dead celebration. And that is created from the polymer clay canes.
I see.
On this necklace, you've also got a vintage watch that I've deconstructed and used part of, because I thought the colorations again and the patterns in that reflect the type of vibe I wanted this piece to have. The other side, opposite of that clock piece, is actually a sewing machine bobbin and a vintage measuring tape. Because of being a fashion design major, I love incorporating fashion and sewing, and being a seamstress, I love incorporating that particular little detail in this piece as well too. And the piece is, again, also incorporates more of my polymer clay elements in the top of the beads, and also genuine coral those genuine coral components as well too. So it's just a great, again, a great statement piece.
It is. Thank you very much. I think she has one more thing, or no?
I think that's the last piece
That's the
that
last
she's
piece.
really,
Well,
yes, the last piece.
you know,
Thank you so much for modeling.
Oh, she was the best model.
Yes.
And also we have some pieces on the back. I don't know if you can see it, you know, if the camera can pick it up, some pieces on the back. They're big, you know, like a statement pieces.
Yes.
Also that Brecken made it. And what will be your next creation? What, you know, are you going to continue same thing, or you are up to something else?
Well, I am currently working on more pieces inspired by the spring colorations and you know what we find in nature in the springtime. So I'm working with more of the blush tones, you know, that you see here, which blush is one of the Pantone colors of the year.
Pantone,
so
yes.
I love to follow the color forecasting.
Of course.
So I'm working on more of those, and I'm also getting ready to head to Houston, Texas, and so I'm working on a lot of Western-inspired pieces.
So what do they have at their the craft show?
This will be an art festival, a very large art festival, Bayou City Art Festival, and so I'll be exhibiting.
Is it Austin or what?
It's in Houston, Texas.
Houston.
Yes, ma'am. So I'll be exhibiting, you know, a lot of Western-inspired pieces.
I see.
And I'm also working on some more larger statement pieces in the realm of, I've got a big cactus that is in the works, a beautiful wearable cactus necklace created out of clay. And so, you know, the idea is I'm always inspired by nature in some way, shape, or form, and the wonderful colors that you find in nature. So, you know, the ideas are constantly, you know, the wheels are always turning and the ideas are always flowing. So it's always
you know,
exciting.
For example, this bracelet is very interesting. I'm just watching very closely how it has been attached.
Yes.
Beautiful, so you don't even see how it's attached. It looks like it was kind of made to be like that.
Right,
you
absolutely.
Know,
I tried, all of the detailing is very important to me in each design, so I try very carefully to
who is your
implement
client? You know, are they younger people, or are you just a mix of people, different ages?
I sell to a variety of clients, all ages. All ages. It could be a corporate woman. It could be someone that just wants something to just be, you know, wear for fun and be playful in. So
and to be different in the crowd.
Absolutely. Just to make, you know, to make a statement and something that just reflects the wearer's spirit, you know, and their personality. Absolutely. So I try to offer a wide variety of shapes and sizes and colors and textures to accommodate each client and each woman.
Absolutely. When did you, when you are going to have like a fall show in the fall? I'm sure you are going to line up some in the fall.
In the fall shows. I'll be exhibiting in Waynesboro. I'll be exhibiting in Roanoke, and I'll be exhibiting in Richmond. So,
well, as you can see, all this variety that she showed us today, it's unbelievable talent. And as I always say, you don't have to go anywhere. You find everything right here in Washington area. And I would like to thank her very much for coming in today. And this is Olga Jevtich reporting for Fashion Notes. And I hope you tune in the next time for another exciting artist from our area. Bye-bye.